Lewis Hamilton has been the most successful driver of the 2010s, and as the next decade of F1 racing is set to begin this week, many have been wondering about his future plans. Until it was confirmed that Carlos Sainz had been signed with Ferrari, there were speculations that Lewis Hamilton could be interested in heading to Ferrari. Even though a contract with Ferrari won't be an option for the Brit in the near future, there are still discussions around whether or not it could ever happen. I'm your host Dylan Shelley, and first up on Formula World, is Hamilton racing with Ferrari a realistic idea? Former F1 driver turned commentator Martin Brundle began by explaining how it would be a huge risk for Hamilton as other drivers have found out. Lewis has got to step away from a company he has been involved with all his professional career, and you would really have to think long and hard about that, just for the romance of being a Ferrari driver. And where are Ferrari at? Are they going to give him a winning car, or is he going to end up frustrated like Fernando Alonso or Sebastian Vettel? He then spoke about how Lewis isn't getting any younger, and that he probably only has one last contract left in him. He is aware that he is in the last phase of his career. These days, the cars are much stronger and much faster. I think it has become a younger man's sport, but Lewis doesn't seem to age. But will Lewis be doing this in his 40s? No, he won't. I see him doing one more contract, but he has more to offer yet. I have not seen anything that suggests he is ready to stop, but an awful lot has happened in the last few months. He concluded by revealing the condition under which Lewis could sign with Ferrari. With the whole F1 scene currently changing, and if Toto left Mercedes, then I think his mind might have to turn to have a look at Ferrari. I would if I was him. I've spoken to him about being dressed in red and standing on that podium at Monza and looking at the crowd in Ferrari overalls. He said, "I love red. I've got red in my crash helmet. It's the colour of passion." But his stock answer was, "I've raced for Mercedes all my F1 career." Fast feed. Former F1 CEO Bernie Ecclestone thinks that he wasn't taken in the way he was meant to be taken, and the only regret he has is that he didn't make himself clearer about some black people also being racist. Racing Point's Lance Stroll thinks that Austria is great, it feels like home because of the mountains. His teammate Sergio Perez feels that Austria is a challenging track, very short and every corner is tricky, so it's different from most circuits because every lap has to be tricky. McLaren CEO Zak Brown thinks that there's no guarantee we can run the number of races we hope to, as the corona situation is still far from under control in many parts of the world. McLaren has also reached an agreement with the National Bank of Bahrain for a loan of £150 million. Zak Brown has stated that the financial problems at McLaren have been solved at the moment, and they can take full advantage of the budget cap. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff is hoping that they have learned from the previous years of racing in Austria and have better control of the situation. He also revealed that with Andy Cowell as the head of the high-performance powertrains department, they had a single point of contact, and a charismatic man who as a leader could do a lot. He also feels they can't always solve job vacancies internally. He further confirmed that he is not going to be the CEO, neither is he going to be on the board of Aston Martin. Red Bull team advisor Helmut Marko doesn't worry about the lack of practice for his driver Max Verstappen because he sits down and within 3 laps he's back up to speed. He also doesn't have any worries regarding the lack of fans, as Max always drives on the limit. He's not going any faster from that shouting along the side. Williams driver George Russell didn't want to be uncompetitive in virtual racing, as he already drives in the back in real racing. He also feels that when you have to give it everything during qualifying after this long gap, it will be just like riding a bike. You either have it or you don't. Alfa Romeo's Antonio Giovinazzi is very happy to hear all those rumours, because to race 3 times in Italy is something that will never happen again. Former F1 driver Pedro Della Rosa thinks that Mercedes will be strong and Red Bull Racing is more ready for the fight than ever. Ferrari had problems, but now they've had time to work on them, and he would certainly not write them off already. He also thinks that it's a dream come true. To have a Spanish driver in a big team is great, referring to Carlos Sainz joining Ferrari in 2021. Williams deputy team principal Claire Williams feels that designing and maintaining most parts themselves shouldn't be a disadvantage. Lewis Hamilton has revealed that when he remembers how he lost the title in China in 2007, it makes him nauseous to this day. Ferrari Sebastian Vettel feels that even though he doesn't have any experience with a second race on the same track a week after the first race, he has enough experience to be able to cope with it. Alfa Romeo has entered into a sponsorship deal with Acer, and team boss Frederic Vasseur is looking forward to sharing with them the success of this 2020 season. He also revealed that they are going to have to go a long way before they will make a profit, as he has no idea how the crisis will affect Formula 1 in general. Toto Wolff thinks that Racing Point has a very strong car and they showed promising lap times during the winter test. Former F1 champion Jacques Villeneuve feels that the best seasons in the sport are those with strong rivalry between 2 or 3 drivers. He also thinks that Verstappen is ready for that role, and Leclerc must show this season if he is the right man to be the other rival. And Martin Brundle has said that Sebastian Vettel has paid very little attention to team orders with Webber and Leclerc, so he certainly won't be interested in that now. Will Hamilton ever race for Ferrari? Head over to my community page to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.